Alright, once again, welcome to Uplift Africa, the only channel that seems to improve upon the life of Africans in UAE. If today is your first time of watching us, do well to subscribe to us, as we intend to bring you a lot of updates that is actually going to change and transform your life. In our last video, we talked about how to become a teacher and the documents you will have to make it ready to become a teacher in UAE. In today's video, I'm going to address few questions that were asked in the previous video by the followers. One of them was asking, where in my country can I attest my certificate? The answer to this is very simple. You will have to take your certificates to the Foreign Affairs and then they will get it attested for you. Usually it comes with a fee. It may vary from countries to country. For Ghana, it's around 200 to 250 Ghana cedis. And then it will take like 7 working days to get it done. All right, let's go to our journey for today. What do we intend to do today? What are we talking about today? We are still talking about the teaching process. But today we are going to focus on when do we have to apply, how do we apply, and then when we apply and we get shortlisted, what are some of the questions we should expect at the interview, and what are some of the suggested answers we have to give? Mind you, my answers are not final. I'm only giving my suggestion. You know, you can give better answers more than mine, but I'm just giving you how I feel the question should be answered. It doesn't mean you should answer it exactly the same way, because my profile might be different from your profile. So you have to answer the questions based on your profile. So the first question is, having gone through the attestation and having made my documents ready, when do I have to apply? You know, usually most of the schools leave for long vacation in June and then resume in September. Major recruitment are done between this time frame. So I would advise that if you really want to apply, then you would have to apply in June. You apply in June, July, and maybe first week of August. You are likely to be called for interview if and only if your documents are well prepared, and then you apply properly. Now, applying properly. How do we apply properly? What is the right way of applying? You know, jobs are being advertised in LinkedIn, Indeed, Gulf, UAE, and a whole lot of applications are there. But you know, the best application will be knowing someone who works in the school and sending your CV to the person. It's smart, right? You know someone who works in the school, you send your CV to the person, so you don't have to follow that huge queue. The person will just have to take it to someone who is responsible, and once you are qualified, you might get the opportunity. What if I don't know anybody in school? Then of course I would have to go through the right way of applying. That is using Indeed, your LinkedIn, and maybe your Gulf. I'm going to put in the video description some agencies, right agencies that you can also apply for teaching jobs through them. Some of which are Seek Teachers, Direct Teachers, and other channels that are legit. Mind you, agents, individual agents who are walking around with their files cannot get to teaching appointment. That is for a fact. So sometimes it's likely you meet your fellow African who would want to prove to you that he knows everything. You know, you came to meet him, so he knows everything. So he will be like, give me 500 dirham, give me 600 dirham, I'm going to get you a teaching job. That is not going to work. It doesn't work like that. If you want to work through agencies, I'm going to outline some few agencies in the video description that you can actually get in touch with them, and then you will be able to apply through these agencies. All right, now we've made the application using the right channel, and by the grace of God, we've been given the opportunity. We've been called for interview. What is the necessary preparation that we will have to make to actually gain the attention or to be selected among the lot? What is the necessary preparation I have to make? Of course, if you are going for an interview in a school, you will have to dig around the school. First of all, you should know the curriculum of the school. Because if you don't know the curriculum of the school, then of course, how would you say that you qualify then to be selected? You should know the curriculum of the school. For instance, you are coming from Ghana, where we are familiar with British curriculum, and then you are going for an interview in a CBSE school. Of course, you are in the wrong way. There is no way you will get selected. 90% chances of being rejected is there, because Ghanaians are not familiar with the CBSE curriculum. So they would want to take someone who is more familiar with their curriculum. That is why you will need to research well about the school you are applying. Make sure that that schools fall within your basket, and once you are invited, you will not have anything that will draw you back. Because trust me, it is worth it teaching curriculums that you are familiar with. Okay, now I've been able to select schools that falls within my basket. I've been called for an interview. What are some of the questions that I should be expecting? All right, so mostly you would be asked to talk about yourself. So if I ask you to tell me, okay, Mr. John, tell me about yourself. Can I know Mr. John well? Who is Mr. John? And then your answer is like, Mr. John is from Ghana and he's a teacher. It doesn't work that way. You will have to prove all points beyond reasonable doubt that you are the best fitted person for that. See, when you are given the opportunity to talk about yourself in depth. So the person who is interviewing you will say that it's okay, let's move on to this question. You don't have to stop. To me, if you are given the opportunity, just flow. Show them that you get the vibes. Don't just go and then be like, I'm John. Then you are giving the one who is interviewing the chance to be asking more questions. So you go to the interview and you are asked, talk about yourself. You can be like, I am John Smith, born and bred in Ghana, teacher by profession, has taught for maybe 10 years, have masters in mathematics, have bachelors in mathematics, have passion to teach. I employ inclusive method of teaching. So you continue to flow until the person who is interviewing you will say, it's okay. Why do you want to be a teacher? Why did you choose to become a teacher? Then you go in to say that, yeah, I have passion for teaching, and I believe in doing works that I have passion for, not necessarily works that will give me money, because I prefer being happy working than working just for money. So growing up, I had the passion of becoming a teacher. That's why basically I intended to do education courses. So all my programs have been in education. I have passion for it, and I always feel like imparting. My desire is to see people growing through me. So the person who is interviewing you then tends to enjoy your answers. Remember, like I've been saying, you would always have to prove beyond reasonable doubt as far as UAE is concerned, and as far as you are coming from an African country, because sometimes they expect less from us, but I know we can do more than they expect. So you go there and you will have to make sure that you go beyond what they expect. You beat their imagination to the extent that you will stand tall. Okay, you can also be asked, what are your strengths? What are your strengths as a teacher? So when you are asked of your strength, try to talk about teaching method. Don't talk about your strength being very good footballer or no. Those are extracurricular activities. Yes, you can add them at the end tail, but try to employ teaching method. So you can say that I have strong classroom management skills, and I have the ability to teach to meet different needs, irrespective of your IQ, okay, or irrespective of your background. I have the ability to coin my teaching to meet your needs. That notwithstanding, I'm also very good with extra curricular activities, which might be beneficial to the school. I'm a footballer, or maybe I'm very good at volleyball. That is extra. But always try to talk about your teaching method when you are asked about your strength as a teacher, because as a teacher, your strength lies in your ability to teach. Your strength lies in your teaching skill. So you make sure that when you are asked about your strength, you limit it to your teaching skills. Then we come to your weakness. Remember, these questions we are talking about are not just the questions that may be asked, but most frequently they are asked. So I'm not expecting you to just memorize these questions and expect that when you go, you are going to be asked those questions. To the extent that when you are not asked those questions, you will tell the interviewer, "You're not going to ask me this question." Please, no, that is not the deal. These are suggested questions. You might not be asked these questions, but most likely, sometimes they ask these questions. So they ask you, what is your weakness as a teacher? Don't go and tell that my weakness is that when I sleep, I'm not able to wake up early, and even when I set alarm, I struggle to wake up. Whoa, what is this? If this is your weakness, then of course, if I am the principal, I am not going to give you the chance. Your weakness should be good in disguise. So my problem is delegation. It's difficult for me to delegate work for others to do for me. This is because I always feel that works that are done by people without my supervision might not be done the way I want it. So I always want to do everything by myself. Therefore, giving me a lot of workload, sometimes it's difficult for me to rest. If this is your weakness, then of course each and every principal would want to work with you, because we all want workaholics, people who are willing to work day in and day out. So make sure that you are applying a weakness that is actually a strength in disguise. My weakness is that when I start teaching and you don't prompt me of the time, sometimes I feel like teaching, I fall in love with the work, and I feel like teaching the whole day. Oh, is that the case? Then this guy is a good guy. We need people like this. So don't go there and tell them that my weakness is that when I ask a student a question and he's not able to answer, I get so upset to the extent that I start insulting the student. Of course, nobody will actually want to give you the opportunity if that is your weakness. You can also be asked, how do you handle classroom discipline? How do you handle classroom discipline? Most at times, the answers to these questions are way over the bar. So I will give a precise answer, okay? I believe in proactive classroom management and strategies such as clear expectations, positive reinforcement, establishing rapport with students. However, when issues arise, I address them promptly with empathy. If you give such response, it means that you are indeed a professional, right? So when they ask you of your classroom discipline, how do you handle classroom discipline? Don't say that if I ask a question and he's not able to answer, I will ask him to stand up for like 10-20 minutes, or I will ask him to stand on his chair. Mind you, our African way of handling classroom is different from the ways classrooms are handled here. You cannot come and tell someone to stand on his table for 2 hours. You're going to bully the person. It's not allowed. So you have to make sure that you are employing acceptable ways of handling classroom challenges. Okay, how do you differentiate instructions to meet the needs of all students? Okay, we are asking you, how do you differentiate instructions to meet the need of all students? We are talking about inclusion. Basically, we are talking about inclusion. So in your classroom, you have like 30 students there. You've identified maybe 10 brilliant students, okay, maybe 6 average students, and then it follows in that chain. So you are going to group them in such a way that the brilliant ones will have to share their knowledge to the less intelligent ones. Remember, nobody is so dumb. It depends on how you organize your class. So to make sure that each and everyone benefit from the class, employ grouping method, where you will have to group the students according to their abilities. So you are going to form 10 groups with the most intelligent students being the head of these groups, okay? And then you put other students together with them, so they all join and share ideas, and then each and every student tends to benefit from one or the other, okay? So this is how you can actually differentiate instructions to meet the needs of all students. So if I ask you, how do you differentiate to meet all the needs of students, you can say, I use variety of strategies such as flexible grouping, adjusting the pace of instruction, and providing multiple modalities for learning. This is very good answer. If you are able to give this, I think whoever is interviewing you will know how professional you are. I think it's getting juicy, right? Let's move on. You can also be asked questions like, how do you engage students who are not actually interested in studies, how do you engage them? See, sometimes in order for you to get the attention of someone, you need to fall within he or his basket. Okay, you have to go to the corner that he wants to go. So some students are such that if you want to force the studies on them, there is no way you can get their attention. So what I usually do is, if I see that the student like to play a lot, I intend to also play with the student. Okay, 5 minutes we play together, and then we learn 10 minutes. We play 2 minutes, we learn 15 minutes. So he is going to benefit from what he has interest in, and he is going to benefit from what I also have interest in. But you don't tend to go there and be like a monster on the student, and it is all about learning. No. You achieve zero results. So you are going to tell the interviewer that I'm going to look at where his interest is, try to limit the interest, but not take away the interest, and then push my interest also there. Okay, push my interest also there. Then you may also be asked, describe a successful lesson you have taught. Describe a successful lesson you have taught. Okay, one lesson that stands out is when I taught maybe integration. Okay, maybe differentiation. It depends on your area. If you are a science teacher, then you would have to choose a science topic. If you're a maths teacher, you have to choose a maths teacher. So I will be like, one topic that I thought that I felt like, I have made so much impact was teaching A-levels integration. Before the lesson, almost half of the class were like, we've heard integration is very difficult and we're not interested. We might not select those questions when it comes in the board exams and all of that. But I told them, let's judge or let's conclude at the end of the class. Okay. So I started the class, I engaged them, I took them through the principles, and then in the end, each and everyone was like, so integration was this easy? In fact, after that lesson, I felt so happy. So make sure that you are going to pick a topic that is perceived to be challenging, okay? Because usually the person who is interviewing you might have an idea of your subject area. So you are a mathematics teacher. The board of panel that are interviewing you, there will definitely be someone who has mathematics knowledge. So if you're able to pick out a topic that is challenging and then describe how you make this so easy to the student, of course you are making the interviewer know that you will have an in-depth knowledge of whatever you are going to teach. Remember, the content is also very important. It's not all about methodology. Then we will come to how do you assess learning. Learning is when there is change in behavior. The question is, how do you measure the change in behavior? This is where you are asked, how do you assess your student? So you can go like, I use variety of ways to assess my students. Some of them would be, I put questions on the board, and then I call students to come and solve it. Or I organize on-our quizzes for them, knowing how they are actually studying. I announce periodic quizzes for them, and then I organize quizzes for them. I give past paper questions for them to do, or I give exercises at the end of every class. And in order for them to study home, I always give or assign homework to them. So you have to be specific. Don't go there and say, I have variety of ways of assessing them, and that is the end. You must be able to pinpoint at some of the variety of ways that you are talking about. Okay, so the next question I would want us to look at would be, how do you handle students who are very hyperactive? He doesn't want to sit. Every 2 minutes he wants to go out, he wants to come there, he wants to do this. See, if you don't, my observation is like, most of the hyperactive students are very brilliant, but then they find it difficult to sit. So the question is, how do you manage students that are hyperactive? He wants to go everywhere, he's moving here and there. How do you actually? So in my class, okay, you give a practical answer. Some of these questions you have to give practical answer to make the person feel that you have indeed been in the classroom before. So if I go to the class and I realize that a particular student is actually hyperactive type, what I'm going to do is I will always call him to come to the board. My friend, come to the board and do this, and then he goes back. Okay, in the middle of the class I call him again, come to the board to do this, and then he goes back. So indirectly I'm giving him the chance to move around. He wants to move around, but I'm giving you the chance to move around, but in a positive direction. So you have to give a very practical response to this. And this is why you should be someone who is experienced. You should be someone who really wants to do the job. You should be someone who have done the job before. Because in the answers, we are able to determine that, oh, this person knows the job. This person knows the job. Because I had an interview where I was asked, okay, let's assume you go to the class and you have year 9, and then you have AS, and you have A level. And you would have to teach all of them for the first time. How do you start? You know, when they ask some of these questions and you are not someone who is in the classroom, trust me, you are going to goof. So you have to be in the classroom. So I was like, you know, mathematics is formative. Algebraic expression is there in IGCSE. It is there in AS and it is there in A level. Just that they are there in different levels. They upgrade as it moves along. So what I'm going to do is to start teaching from the IGCSE. It's going to be a revision for the AS and then A level. So I'm going to form my class. I'm going to form my lesson. I'm going to plan my lesson in such a way that it's going to capture for algebraic expression at the lower base, algebraic expression at AS level, algebraic expressions at A level. So when I'm teaching the IGCSE students, the AS and the A level students will not be idle because they will be benefiting indirectly, but they also need the basis. When I'm teaching the AS, the A level will still be benefiting, and the IGCSE students will be doing their exercise. So you don't have to leave any class or any group idle. So I will say that when I move on to the AS, the A level will still be benefiting, but the IGCSE might not need that idea. So I'm going to assign class exercise to them and then move on to the AS. Whilst teaching the AS, of course, A levels will be benefiting. When I move on to the A level, I give the AS exercise. So you've been able to engage the whole class, and you've proven to the person interviewing you, that the principal, that indeed you know your task. I am going to end today's section here. By then, I'm going to leave a lot of questions in the video description. I'm also going to leave my contact details there. If you want to reach out to me for more questions or how to go about it, of course, I'll be there to assist you. This is your most trusted channel. Subscribe, get to us, and we will always give you the right information. Bye-bye.